Hello, people in people's world and people's land. I know we're going live now. So, just so everybody knows in YouTube world that when we go live here, we're still going to be a few weeks out from actually publishing the episode. So, just you all, don't you mind, y'all. We're just going to allow some people to come in. We're just trying it out. We're seeing what goes on. We haven't done it yet really on a consistent basis, but you will be at the first. If you all want to grab a drink, join us tonight. I know my son is going to be watching, so this could be fun. I almost started singing again, and I was like, ooh, probably shouldn't do that.
Oh, just let it flow, brother.
Do what you like.
Although I am going to edit something because it said with Dwight Scott, and he was last week, and I just actually
Everyone's
put
name looks
brain.
fine to me.
Well, it's on YouTube.
Ah, okay.
Oh, brain.
Ah, there we go. Now YouTube is correct with Brian Brickman. Brain
Brain.
Brickman. God, that's hard to say after knowing your name for so many years. Like, that's extremely difficult.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Yeah, it has. What? Guam 2006 to 10.
Okay. Yeah, I spent another 4 years there. I did the Hipcot thing.
Ugh. I mean, yay to the United States Air Force. I'm still in.
I'm
Technically.
not, as you can see.
Well, technically, I mean, yeah. Anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and we will just start. Jeff, do you want to start with your thingy majigger?
My
Are you going to
thingamajigger?
intro it? Are you
Usually
going to
you.
introduce this one?
What kind of podcast is this?
Oh, I do that in post.
Oh, well, then in that case,
And I do
that's
think.
right. Oh, see,
Ah,
man, I
ah,
was just in a rhythm. I was totally in a
boo.
rhythm, and you just took it from me. So maybe here we'll do a generalized toast. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Which that's a great lead into the name of our podcast. We will digress. And we will interrupt too.
All the dadgum time. But that's okay. I will allow it. I will allow it.
So, how
Hey,
about you tell us what this podcast is?
dear God, dude, seriously? I digress. Anyways, that's right. Gee, this is going to be a great episode. In the studio again tonight, we've got the greatest producer of all time, in my humble opinion, my greatest producer that has ever come alongside, G. And right next to him in the same quarters, we've got Brain. Not Brian, it's Brain Bickman. How you doing, Brain?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Man, we are absolutely awesome. It is absolutely awesome having you here. You are starting a new podcast with G called We Will Digress. And that's coming under the umbrella and a part of the family with Wartime Leadership. And we are so excited to have you join the family. I know that eh, we've all been connected for quite a few years. We were actually just talking about this since 2004,
Like a human
actually
centipede.
2006. Yeah. What did Okay. Wow. I am so glad that you edit these, buddy. I'm so happy that you do.
What does that happen? I missed out on that one.
It, it
Hey,
was a long night.
yeah, no doubt. Hey, I'm super excited to have you here, and we're gonna go ahead and call you Brain from now on, just simply because you've got a website. You do little shout outs. Are you on YouTube, Instagram? What is it that you do these on?
Oh, I do Instagram, Facebook, a little bit of YouTube, but I get the monetization off of Facebook, which I guess they own Instagram. So when I do my little diddly cover songs, I get some compensation. I was rather surprised when I got the email saying that people were watching and they wanted to pay me. And you talking about going back to the Air Force days. They put brain on my certificate when I promoted to staff sergeant, and I've just stuck to that, and I'll keep sticking to it.
Maybe they were just wrestling fans. The Brian the Brain Heenan. If anybody remembers Brian the Brain. So maybe they just mistakenly thought by natural selection to put you down as Brain.
That might be the case.
Nah, dude, he's wicked smart.
Wicked smart. He's a smart guy.
You're too kind, Chief. Way too kind.
But thank you.
I love you, man.
I love you too, Chief.
I love both of you.
I love.
Lamb.
You too.
I think we actually kind of lost. I think we lost you, Brian, a little bit on the microphone.
Check, check.
Are you still able to hear him?
Yes. I was I was muting mine on and off because he was starting to get picked up in mine.
Got it.
Does it
All
mean
right. Well, hey, before we get going too far into this, we have 5 easy questions for you. Well, I say they're easy, but they are completely random. So maybe not easy, but we'll see.
There you go.
Let me hit the randomizer here. If you could have a ooh, good. If you could have any superpower, what would that superpower be?
Shapeshifter.
Okay,
Well,
why would you
That's
have
good.
Why?
Yeah.
Like I could turn into a bird and fly, or I could be a fly on the wall.
that and fly?
I could be like, I don't know. There's just a number of different things that I could. You like if you just pick flying, that's all you can do.
But if you pick like a shapeshifter, you can fly. Maybe you could turn into a fish and swim. I feel like I'm lost again with the sound. Can you guys hear me?
Check,
Yeah.
check,
Yeah.
1, 2. Okay, all right.
So yeah, if I could turn into a fish and go explore the deep depths of the sea, stuff like that.
Okay, I totally get it. But I like you just the way you are. So
Oh, thank
there's
you.
that. Just saying.
I shifted to be.
He's a
very
super
friendly,
friend.
normal, but- Super friends.
Dead air. Okay,
I am
mine is
going off of the
simple.
headphones because I can't hear a single thing at all. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can hear everybody just
all
fine.
right. Well, I'm gonna wing
Can
it
you hear
because
me now?
that's just what I do. Hey, what is something you wish you did more of in your life and something you wish you did less of?
Wow, that's a good question. I think I wish I would have done more exploring,
Hmm.
and I did a lot when I was in Japan. I went everywhere, Guam, scuba diving, stuff like that. But I just feel like I feel like I didn't do enough. And then less of, um, I think worrying is is one of those things I wish I would have done less of because all kinds of things come out of that, like being
Judgmental, and it's just bad for your mental health and
Yeah.
um, less of. Yeah, I think that would be my pick for that one.
Okay. I can definitely see the travel more. That's something in my life I definitely wish, but you bring a really good perspective to the worrying less, right? That's definitely something I think a lot of us and a lot of the individuals that write in to us talk about a lot is either, their mental health and other aspects like that, and worry is a big portion of that. What do you think is the most important life lesson for someone to learn? Words by Brain.
Um, I think it's kind of it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Um, how to love yourself.
Hmm.
Because once when you learn how to do that, it's getting get choked up. Oh man!
It's okay. Take your
All right,
time, brain. It's perfectly okay. We're here for you in this one.
thank you. Um, it just opens up so much more for you, and I'm choking on it right now.
Well,
it
it's
just it just
because you're a
makes
very deep thought person.
yeah. So
Learning how to love myself.
if people could learn that, some people never get there, never learn that, and I feel that that's something that is something that can be given to people.
Hmm.
They just a lot of people need to open up to it or be accepting of it, and I think some of it's just like it's I'm this I'm a badass and stuff like that, and they don't look at themselves as being vulnerable within themselves. So I think if you can get there, if you can learn that, I think that's a big lesson that really just helps you with everything. Um, that's just those are my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, no. Gee, what do you think about that, man? I think he definitely hit some spots.
Well, I've been happy to be around for watching Brian or Brian, sorry, my brain. Uh, my buddy go through and take a lot of these steps and going to different courses and retreats, and he shares that stuff with me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm looking at going on one of the ones probably this summer.
Wow, cool. I mean, take him with you. I
Heck
know
yeah.
that you all invest in each other quite often, and it's a good relationship when you're able to do that, and when you have somebody close, especially when you're connected in the military environment or other aspects like that. I mean, like Brain, we haven't talked in several years for a consistent period of time, but yet here we are sitting down and we pick right back up where we were. And I think that's what a lot of the military, some of the best aspects that the military has ever done for me, and a lot of people that I know, is that relationship aspect of just being able to pick up and continue on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sat down and I was like, "Oh, hey,
So
what's up, man?" And it was just like, yeah,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
yesterday.
So what is your favorite? Gin, vodka, or tequila?
Oh wow, man. While I'm thinking about this, I did sing karaoke to the tequila one night. Um, but I think
Now
I'm gonna
wait,
go with
did you
gin.
sing the song tequila or with tequila in your system?
No, he sang it to the bottle.
No, I told the DJ like he goes, "What song you want to sing?" And I said tequila. So I stood up there awkwardly for like 45 seconds, a minute until they said it in the song, and it's like the easiest, yeah, song to sing. But
Tequila.
I'm gonna go with gin. Um, I've been sober for 3 years, so I probably won't have it again. But I enjoyed it when I had it. So
And I'm sure that that story is going to come up in our discussion later. What is your favorite movie? What is the greatest movie of all time?
wow, what a question, man.
You can't do
Um,
that.
Yes, I can. I just did.
G and I finally sat down and
Watched The Big Lebowski together after just referencing it for years. So that's up there. I think my most watched movie is probably Dumb and Dumber. Um, I used to be able to just quote that entire movie. And then I like some Monty Python films. You told me to pick one, and I'm just going all over the place here.
It's okay. We'll go genre for genre. It's
That's better. Subgenre. Oh yeah, we'll be here all fucking night.
fine.
You know what? I think
I like Star Trek 4. That's probably my favorite movie of all time. The one with the
Did
wedding
not
scene.
see that one coming, but okay, we'll allow it. I could definitely see
Oh,
Big Lebowski. You pull it off quite nicely.
Well,
it's
that's
just like your opinion, man.
it's Thor Lebowski.
Maybe that should change my name to that.
Thor Lebowski. All right. Well, hey, let's get into the meat of this. You know what the story is. You've been around the podcast long enough that you understand kind of what the next steps are. Why don't you give us your background? Take us back. You can go back to diapers to post military. I don't care. Start somewhere in the middle.
Oh, okay. I was born in Southern California. Moved to Denver when I was 11. So to me, Denver's home. I joined the Air Force when I was 23. Turned 24 the day I left boot camp. Um, Spent time in Japan, Turkey, Guam with you guys. Then they sent me to Jersey.
I got out.
We did time.
We did time. I got out in 2019. I had some kind of head injury that's permanent, and I got a medical retirement from that. And that's been a big challenge, man. Just getting through that because it took me down physically, and then just being there took me down mentally into this deep, deep hole that I've I'd say I've dug my way out of that just most recently, and that was a big part. That's a big part of who I am. I think it's unfortunate that happened, but it's probably the best thing that's happened to me in a strange way. It's taught me a lot. Just the pain has been a great teacher. Um, they gave me that medical retirement in 2019, and I spent a year in New Jersey working a night shift in a warehouse. And when COVID hit, I hightailed it to Denver. I pretty much just like abandoned everything. I had no attachments or anything like that. No, I'm divorced, no kids, so I was able to do that easily. And moved back in with my dad and his wife when COVID was going on. No one really knew what was going to happen, and he had just had a kidney transplant, and so I came back home to Denver. I worked for Napa as a delivery driver for 3 years. Highly recommend doing that kind of work if you need to just like decompress after the military, because I just spent a lot of time in the truck listening to podcasts like these or watching YouTube videos on like, I'm out now. How do
I work? What can
Oh, and
do
I get
now?
plenty of text randomly throughout the day. Dude, check out what I just saw. And I'm like, oh, that you took that from the truck.
And yeah,
in September, I went back to school. I got a year left. Well, 6 months now for my degree in cybersecurity, and that's going really well. And that's where I'm at now. I'm a full-time student online. Looking forward to graduating in September and going from there.
So when you medically retired out, I know that this is, G kind of has, very similar with what, transpired. What were some of those things that kind of helped you in that transitional time period out?
Well, good friends like G here. Um, I have a really good friend, James Blackledge. I'd like to give a shout out to him. He really helped me through some of those times, showing up in the middle of the night, taking me to the hospital. those types of things, because one of those, it's one of those injuries where like could just hit you whenever. Um, so people, community, and also I think this isn't for everybody, but just being in this big dark place that I was in, I kind of questioned, how do I get out of this? How do I change? How do I get better? How do I make myself better? So finding work like yours, or like some of the self-help videos on Facebook or YouTube, some of these podcasts, books, audiobooks. I listen to a lot of Audible books in the truck when I drove for Napa. And then just, if you're in the military and somebody is on their way out and you're supervising them, do your best to like make sure they have a smooth transition. I had some of that, but I also had some like some of the opposite, and that can be detrimental when you're getting out and even after you're out, because you
Yeah, I think that there's an aspect of trust that kind of comes with that relationship with the military, right? There's an expectation of trust. And I always used to tell my airmen whenever they were getting out, like, let me help you get out. Let's do it the right way, and get you out the correct way. Get you the help, get you the
Nate's
adjustment.
talking.
Oh,
It says having issues communicating with our servers. Yep, it's on that side.
That's weird. Can
wanna
you hear
hang out
me?
with 'em? I can hear you just fine.
Weird. Um, yeah, and that's on my good computer.
Mm. Brian, brain just broke
That
the
is-
internet.
Okay, here. That's the recording, so go ahead, take my seat.
Okay, so
Wait.
you were talking about
All right.
a lot of these things that were helping you as you transitioned out of the military, and you said something about a supervisor being one of the greatest attributes to their airmen or to their person helping them.
Yeah, if you're in the position where you have somebody who's hurt and they're getting out, um, just supporting them, having that support system while you're still in, while you're transitioning. And I say this to people that are watching that are maybe still in the military and they have people that they're getting out, they're getting a medical discharge. Just being kind, being open, and working with them to make sure that their transition is smooth and they're getting resources that they need. And I got some hate from a few people, and that kind of like, if you give them that, that's sometimes that's bigger than anything. That can be bigger than the positive things. You don't want it to be. You don't think that, but something, if you're spewing hate or talking in a negative way about a person while they're on their way out, um, the whole 22 a month,
Yeah,
that's a real thing. So just if if you're on the other side of it watching somebody, just be supportive. Make sure that they're good and they're gonna make it. And when they're out, check up on them too. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like every day, that type of thing, but just it just means so much. If someone's been out for a month or even a year and you're like, hey man, how you been? Just having
yeah,
like that support from people that you knew that you were in. And I get that all the time, and I've learned to set boundaries. I think that's another big thing.
mm,
Um, Getting out to just kind of weed out the negativity, um, and having a positive mindset. Like, where am I going to go from here? Trying to set goals and get places, and that was a real struggle for me because um, I worked for Napa for 3 years. It was an entry level type job, and the pay was not that high. It was great. It was a great job for my mental health. Like I mentioned earlier, I listened and learned, and it just got me into a better mindset, and just like kind of setting yourself up to however you do it. Like some people, they're ready, they're on their way to be set up, but I was kind of just lost, and just finding that direction and getting it from people and just getting encouragement from people.
Yeah, and
Try
I I think a lot of people don't understand what that looks like from the military perspective. In fact, a lot of our listeners are not military, and we're heard in 53 different countries now, all
Oh
throughout the
wow.
world in different types of settings. So tell the listener who isn't of the military brand what it
Uh,
feels like to be in the military and then transitioning out. Because I mean, even some of these people who are in companies, right? That maybe they're not getting the love from the corporate that they think that they should, and they're transitioning to another environment. Like there's still an aspect of what that looks like. So kind of explain what it's like in the military to go from being in the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the family to now all of a sudden you're not.
You
okay.
ever sat on a bike without a seat?
Ah, yes, the
Um,
commentary comes in.
So for me, having the camaraderie and the brothership, um, and then all of a sudden it's not there. I don't have that every day. I have people that I'll text or call or stuff, but I'm not there in the thick of it with them. Um, just trying to find that again in your identity with that. It's very challenging. Um, Maybe I got out in 2019, so in 2020, if I was to like say I'm on this podcast with you, and I've been out for 5 years now, but if it was only a year, I would sit here and tell you that I feel like I'm still in uniform, even though I'm not. I've got the cap on, I've got the BDU, ABU top, whatever they call it now. I'm still wearing the uniform, and where places that I go to the grocery store, I'm not literally wearing the uniform, but like I feel like I'm in a place with my boots and the uniform, and then people are looking at me like it's all in my head too. A lot of it's just in my head. Like they're looking at me like, who's this
yeah.
guy? When really they're not even paying attention to me at all. And it's just I feel like to try to join a new group or a new community, it was terrifying to me. Um, in a way, I guess in a sense that am I going to be accepted, or is it going to be different? Am I going to upset someone, offend somebody? Um, are they going to let me come back? Stuff like that. Um, I can give you an example. One of my biggest steps was I joined a volleyball team, and I did not want to go. The first game, I did not want to go,
Hmm.
and I made myself go. And when I showed up, I kind of felt like I was me, but I had a front on too. Like I was, I mean, you know me, I like to joke and have a good time, and I was
Good.
doing that. But like, there's something in me that they can't see, where I got this anxiety, this nervousness, and it was a good experience. And it was like teamwork again. And I was looking for that type of stuff because I would go out to like a bar or somewhere to be social, and I just felt so completely alone, and like there was no one I could relate to or that could relate to me. And every now and then I'd run into a vet or something, but it was just for me that transition. Um, and it's not the same for everybody. There's people that get out and they transition in a different way. It could be a positive, better way, but there's some people where, for me, I knew it was going to take a lot of work to get to a place where I felt okay on this other side. And I hope I'm answering your question, but
Well, I
it's
I don't think you paint a good picture, right? And especially the
mm,
teamwork that we come out of, the because even in the aerial port world where we are put on specialized teams to go do specific things, whether it's the SWAT team going to poop water and trash out a plane, or if it's the
yeah,
load team going out, you're working in teams almost every single day. There's very few times where you're in a one deep position. And so you
right.
get this sense of where I'm weak, somebody else is going to be strong, and I have to, not exploit it, but I have to be able to utilize and empower that person to do that. Versus
Mhm.
where I'm strong, somebody else is going to be weak, and I take the forefront on that. Uh,
Yeah.
that creates a very big dynamic within the team. So to join a volleyball team and to force yourself, Brian, I've known you for years, and you have never been apprehensive to do something during those early years.
Uh,
What was the mindset for you, like transitioning and trying to refine that? Because doing it during COVID, I mean, come on, like what a hard time. Jeez.
I've had transitions.
oh,
Yeah.
have you, Jeff?
I didn't know where you were going with that. Everybody, just so you know, if you weren't able to see it, he was pointing to his glasses. Just so you're aware, he was pointing to his
Or
glasses.
was I?
Oh dear gosh, here we go. Get the man another drink.
Um,
um, yeah, after you left Guam, that's when I got hurt, and I went from like who you knew to kind of like I'm not pulling my weight here, and everybody. I felt resentment from people, and maybe it wasn't there with certain people, but the people that they were telling me I was faking it and stuff like that. Um, that just it hurt because I thought of myself as like a hard worker, go getter type, and I couldn't do that anymore. And I was in for 6 more years, and they gave me like desk jobs where I could be like the training monitor and the what do they call those? The additional duties where I'm like doing inventory and the building custodian, those types of things. But like I wanted to be out on the line still and be able to do the things I used to be able to do, and just to have that go away, it changed my mindset from a positive one to a negative one.
Yeah.
And so I think um, transitioning and doing it through COVID. I forgot to mention in my intro, I was homeschooled up until ninth grade. So
What?
I'm yeah, I was that might explain some
Wow.
things.
Way to bury the lady.
But so with COVID, it was a little bit different for me because I was kind of used to that type of being in the house all day doing work, and even with school right now, I kind of feel like since I had that in the past, it's not too hard for me to do it online. But back to transitioning and COVID, um, there was a lot of isolation, and I was already self isolating. So to put COVID on top of that,
Yeah.
with the restrictions and people, no, don't come over, you can't come over, and you got to put the mask on and this stuff. And I really just wanted to get back to. I didn't want to get back to old me. I wanted to get back to where I was in a positive mindset, but I wanted to be just the best person I can be. Um, so
So get
that
back
was
to a baseline.
yeah, that was my mindset coming out, and it was just challenging to get there because it's easy to say I want that, but it's so much harder to do it when I mean you can definitely do it, but it's definitely a challenge. Um, my mindset, it wasn't an overnight thing. I had my habits, I had my isms, I had the doubts, you can't do this, the intrusive thoughts, stuff like that. But
Those little buggers.
I I went. Jeff mentioned a retreat. I'm going to name drop these guys, Boulder Crest, and they gave me this Shift Happens shirt. Um, they really they take vets and they it kind of relates to this the transition. The transition can be like it can be when you're going out and then you get out, or it could be like years. It could take you years, decades to get to just transition from having that team and getting to a place where you're comfortable being you and by yourself and um,
Well, I love that you gave a shout out to where you got help, right? Because I mean that
uh,
the shift really did happen for you, and it sounds like they were a major part of it. So I'd like to talk to them maybe a little bit later. The one thing I want to get back to real quick was you said I
We
didn't
got dibs.
I I wanted to get back to where I was, but you had to come to a realization that there also was a new you that was
mhm,
developing out of it.
yeah.
So what did that
Um,
shift look like for you?
so to me, it was the experiences, the negative experiences, the positive experiences, the people that I've met along the way, um, taking taking things from these experiences and these people, and just trying to put something together that I wanted to become or emulate. Um, like Jeff has a great way with the way he speaks and his words, I think, and that's something I admire about him. Um, so I just it was kind of like building blocks. Like, where do I want to take? What do I want to get rid of? Um, just things like that. Um, changing the whole mindset from a negative to a positive, and just my attitude and the effort I was giving, um, and then my circle, my people, the people I surround myself with. Some
Yeah.
of those people, I started to realize they are not the best for this situation. They were not conducive to what I was trying to do, and I had to unfortunately cut ties or set boundaries. And boundaries was one of the biggest things, one of those biggest challenges for me, because when I was in, you have it's kind of like shut up and color.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
can't really set a boundary to that in certain ways where you're being pushed to do something and you can't push back. There's some instances you can, but that mindset is just like, you do what I tell you because I'm above you, I outrank you, that type of thing. So
And I,
learning
I
how to
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I think that's where the hard part is. You talked about how the transition, when you have somebody who's transitioning out of the company or transitioning out of the service, to help support them in that endeavor. Because in like in your case, in G's case, it wasn't by choice.
Yeah.
You were medically retired without it being your choice. So it's not like you had a say one way or the other. It's like I want to stay in, but you're gone.
Hmm.
My case, I did my 20 years. Like I'm done. See you. Deuces. I have the choice. You didn't have a
Right.
choice. So how did that weigh differently for you? Like how long did you have to start making plans and do the other things?
My med board was an exceptional one, man.
Wow.
It took My med board took 18 months, but it wasn't like I knew it was going to be 18 months.
No.
It was could it be 3 months? Could it be a year? Could it be 3 years? I had no idea. So like you can plan some things with that, but I watched probably about a dozen of my airmen and other people in different sections have a med board, and they're, oh yeah, I got 3 months and I'm done. Oh, I got 2 months and I'm done. And I got this percentage and I got this job lined up. And for me, it was like, oh, well, you got denied. So we got to take it up. You got denied again. We got to take it to Texas. You got denied again. Now it's going to the Supreme Court. And it just, it was unpredictable for me in that aspect of it. And it was just stressful, and it gave me anxiety. And
Mm.
I didn't really have too much of a plan. I found a job based on logistics, what we did, and um, it helped having that job after I got out. It wasn't what I exactly wanted, but I made do with it, and then I had it for a year, and then just having a support system to help me get to school once I got out, and now I have now I have a I have new goals and new plans that I didn't have when I was the immediate transition. Um, whether it was like a year to me getting out or the day I got out, or a year after, I was just kind of winging it. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't really have connections that I have now, and yeah, it was scary, but I mean, I always try to look forward and to take that next step. And I wanted to succeed
Yeah.
after the transition. So um,
Well,
I was
and
always
and it
looking out
sounds
for
like
things.
everybody else kind of, was able to take time to have a plan, and you kind of made plans, and then those plans got pushed, and then you made more
Uh-huh.
plans, and then those plans got pushed. But to me, brain, it sounds like some of those, you know what, screw it. I'm calling you Brian. Brian,
That'll work.
it sounds like the mental health aspect of it, you were exactly where you needed to be.
Mm,
Like you
maybe.
couldn't have
I
written a better story.
I
Yeah.
totally relate.
That's that's validating. I thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, because
Because
I see you now. Woo! Like you're mentally, well, I feel like you're getting back to where you were all those years
Mhm,
ago, right?
yeah. Mhm.
With more huevos.
Yeah. Okay. And there's the
And
coming
longer
with
hair.
more huevos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so the whole point of this podcast is to talk about resilience, and specifically on spiritual resilience. And it sounds like
Uh,
through the transition time period, and what you've gone through, whether it be COVID or whatever the time periods were that kind of, hit some turbulence and dropped a little bit. Uh, the military does a really good job of setting us up for physical, social, and mental health, or and well, most mental health. To be resilient in all those areas. But the one area that they don't do very good at is on the spiritual side. And so
mm,
I ask everybody this same thing, and I know that we have differing beliefs, and this is good because it's a conversation, and this is the
uh,
way that these kind of conversations are supposed to go. The military is starting to get a little bit closer to being able to do that, but I'm going to ask
good.
you, how do you define spiritual resilience?
Whew. Spiritual resilience. Um, to me, it's about being, like, I guess, finding your center, and you're not gonna be perfect. There's days when you're gonna fall and you're gonna trip, but to get back up and get centered again and make it a way of life, whether you're Christian or Buddhist or atheist or whatever you are. The spiritualism, I think that just kind of envelops everyone, and it's kind of what you make it. And to me, it's just finding that center and finding your peace, and in the transition of it, it was scrambled. Someone poured canola oil on the tightrope, and I just kept, yeah, I was wobbling, and I would fall off, but I get back up, and then I try to keep going. And
Yeah.
even when it was the last day, um, there's things I didn't know I was doing for myself. I look back and I'm like, wow, like you didn't know what that was, but you had it in you. And I think that's a big part of spiritual resilience. Um,
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, so I do a lot of meditation now, and just um, what do they call them? The self affirmations, and um, the I guess mine's more like a secular take on it. Um, but I grew up Christian, and a lot of that stuff is still big in my life. Like um, the verse about love, I can't tell you the verse, but love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy. I keep that, and you can take from other things too, like with some Buddhism talks about like being curious instead of judgmental, and just finding finding the things that keep you going, um, and finding people that support you, whether it's in the spiritual sense, but it's also just in the general sense. Like people, maybe they don't share the same beliefs like you said, but they're still supportive. They're not they're not coming down on you because your way is the right way. Um, Stuff like that.
And I think
And
there's a
if
lot to
you,
be said with that, right?
uh,
I think the verse that you came with was 1 Corinthians 13:4.
yes, yeah,
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is irritable or it is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And just in that in itself, like the descriptive words of what love is exactly how we interact with one another, even though our love, right, in this group looks a little bit different because we make fun of each other. We
the
jab
banter.
each other. Yeah, we have
Our
the
love is
banter.
more like Samuel Jackson.
We will digress, by golly. That's just what it is. And that's exactly what love is. There's a it's called philo love, right? Brotherly love is what it
Mhm.
comes down to.
Yeah. And when you reading that, I was getting chills,
Yeah.
honestly. So,
Well,
um,
Brian, I know that you have come a long way. And I know that this was a big step kind of in part of that healing that you continue to daily experience. What I'm wondering is, besides all of the definitions and how you define and whatnot, you mentioned earlier, way back at the beginning, that you're
mm,
3 years sober. Where did
I,
that sobriety journey come from?
um, I think what set it off was 3 years ago. I had a night where I got really drunk, and I never really drank a whole lot anyway. And I felt like shit the next day. Um, and I didn't make the decision that day, that next day. But I kind of just didn't want to drink after
Yeah.
that. But I went to the doctor, and they ran some tests, and they told me that if I didn't change my diet and stop, alcohol was included in that. My pancreas was in danger. My triglycerides were
Mm.
high, and that's only one. That's only one part of it. Growing up, I witnessed um, some unfortunate behavior throughout some of my family, and it all came down to alcohol. And it was firsthand, it was secondhand, it was rumors and gossip, and someone calling me and crying on the phone about so and so's drinking too much, or hearing it from another family member that this person's drinking too much and they're being abusive, and um, getting out. And it goes back to the transitioning. I'd go to bars, and I would drink, and I would observe, and I would see how people treat each other. And it wasn't all bad, but the things that I saw when I was working at Napa, somebody pulled up, and they were drinking a beer in the passenger side of their vehicle, and their wife or girlfriend or whoever it was not happy with them, and the way that he started like screaming at her and yelling at her, just stuff like that I see. In addition to the health things, um, and there's people out there that can drink and they don't do that stuff, but that the family experiences combined with the physical health I needed to work on. When the doctor told me to stop drinking or not to drink alcohol, I thought about those things in the past, and I was like, done, I can do that. And I've been sober for 3 years. I haven't had anything to drink in that amount of time, and I don't miss it. So if I'm around people and they're drinking and we're all having a good time, I'm fine with it. I'm not against alcohol. I'm not against drinking. It's just how you treat people and what you do with it and where it takes you. Um, if it's taking you to a bad place, then that's when I think it's a negative bad thing. But if you can throw one back with your boys and have a good time and no one's getting hurt or anything like that, go for it.
See, this is when knowing the people really comes into play, because if I had known that, then I wouldn't have told everybody to come to the room with a drink in their hand. So
Ah,
thank
No,
you for
that
playing
was my
along.
call.
Thank you for
wow,
playing
you guys are
along.
good. You guys are good. I'm comfortable. I'm safe here.
Yes, this is a safe room. Oh God, sorry. I
Or
was
is
gonna
it?
go, or is it? I was going to go somewhere else with that, but I really decided not to. So good job on us.
He does digress,
I digress, by golly.
but we don't.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what's the podcast going to be like? What is we will digress going to be all about with you all? Like that's the part I want to know. I just saw
It looks
G
like
run away, so it's
it looks
making me
like
wonder, like, what the heck did he do?
I had to get notes.
Did he punch you while he was getting those? Just wondering. This is a safe space.
Not anymore. Ow.
at least I'm not getting choked up anymore. That was something.
Yeah.
No,
So
we do that
what is it?
later.
What is it going to be about? What is we will digress about? I mean, because I love the title. We did the promo for it last week, and I'm looking forward to it, to adding y'all to the family, the wartime leadership family. But what's the format? What's the questions going to be like that you're going to do? I know you're going to have like absolutely no like set list of what's going to happen, as G grabs a list of things that are going to happen.
Gee, go for it.
Okay. It's going to have a format, but not. Uh, I mean,
Formatted chaos. Got it.
well, pretty much we will do the research on the guests. Know a little bit about them or a robot. We could do a robot.
A robot would be. You should do questions to AI. You should do a show that's dedicated to AI and asking AI different questions.
We could have an AI guest. I like that idea.
Write it down, G.
Yeah. Always wanted to have a bender.
Or Rosie Jetson.
All right, you are
I still
sick,
drink.
among other things.
I was thinking about a pal.
Yeah, me too. Totally, totally gonna do it. So, so you're going to interview people, but you're not necessarily going to have a format where you're just asking. It's just basically going to be random questions and
No,
G
it's going to be
interrupting them all.
stories and interruption.
Stories and interruptions.
Maybe that should be the
Um,
name of the podcast: Stories and Interruptions.
Stories and interruptions. I'd like to ask some of the questions you've asked me on this show. I mean, there can be like fun. There can be like fun questions and that stuff, and then there can be like some of these deep talks and these deeper questions. And like Jeff said, somebody telling a story, it's their story, and we can ask them, hey, what did you do to get there, or how did during this time, how did you get there, what kept you going, kind of like what you were talking, the questions you were asking me, those are great. And I felt I felt empowered to tell my story, and felt good getting it out. And I think some of these interviews may go that way, and some of them might just be, "Hey, I'm here, and we're gonna smoke some weed and have a drink and have a good time," and that's cool
In
too.
case my child is still watching, I need you to go ahead and hang up and go to bed, buddy. Love ya.
Well, it's all
But
legal here.
it is completely legal in their portion of the country. They are no longer government employees, as I am still myself, but I'm in a portion of the country where it is not legal. Therefore, I do not do. I do not endorse this in any way whatsoever, nor does the podcast.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, had to throw it in there.
Beautiful.
Uh,
All right.
Well, Brian, I know that he is producer, so I think we could get some questions.
Some questions?
I have a very bad echo, so it's hard for me to hear my own voice.
Do you want to come back over here?
voice, voice,
No.
voice, voice.
Okay.
No, no, no.
Echo, echo, echo.
Echo,
Yeah,
echo. Hey, well, Brian,
I'm
I am
having
very
flash.
grateful. A part of this journey for us has been to empower and help others tell their story and to formulate what it looks like. A lot of the time, we have guests that have never been on podcasts before or have never even been able to display their story. So, thank you for recognizing that as a strong suit that we bring, because that is something that has been a mission of the Wartime Leadership Podcast for the entirety of this journey. So, unfortunately, we have seen some people who have been on this show have actually committed suicide. Found out about one recently, about an individual that had been struggling significantly and had decided to take their own life. And so um, I think there's a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of sadness that comes with that accomplishment in the fact that they were able to tell their story, that they were able to get it out to a wider berth of audience, but also
Yeah.
some sadness to it because did I not open myself up to allow them to come to me in those moments? And so I hope to be able to create relationship still with some of these people, um, and to continue to build upon that. So a piece of advice from me to you as you start this podcast is take the funny stories and make them funnier, but take the serious stories and own it in the sense of help those individuals just like yourself to create and graph what their story looks like and empower it forward. Only advice I'll give you on that.
Right on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else from the peanut gallery G over there?
Well, sir, since we're starting this podcast and we are looking for guests, you can email us at wewilldigress@gmail.com. That's we will digress, not we won't, we will digress @gmail.com. And we also have a Facebook and all that fun stuff coming, but I'm digressing.
Wow. All right. Brian, excuse me, Brain,
Sorry, go ahead.
any parting thoughts from you today?
Um, live live well, struggle well, and um, keep keep trucking along. You can do this. You got this.
And
And
I think
thank you
that
so much.
Brain is a great person to reach out to through the we will digress at gmail.com. If you reach out to him, he'll help you formulate your story. He'll put you in connection with some individuals that will be able to help. I think that this is going to be a good mode of transportation for people as they're on the road to healing. So get in there, get involved, be happy, and make fun of every opportunity that you possibly can. Listen, here at the Wartime Leadership Podcast, we are blessed by every single member of our family. And as our family continues to grow, such as with the addition of We Will Digress, every single opportunity we have for another step of healing is another step that's worth taking. If you're hurting, if you don't if you're not feeling good about yourself in any way whatsoever, reach out to us. We'll get you in connection with some individuals that are there to help. There's plenty of organizations. In fact, I'm going to make it my life goal to collect a history of individuals and organizations that are there to help you. We're going to post it up on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, on YouTube. Every single opportunity that we get, we're going to do that. Listen, we are blessed by the entire family and the team here at the Wartime Leadership Podcast from G at 369sounddesigns.com and me. We love you. Be blessed.